Hi, and welcome to Aspire. In today's video, we'll be looking at T&M estimating as it relates to snow season. In this video, we're going to talk about T&M contract estimating so that we can make sure that our clients are going to be charged the correct amount based on the costs being applied to work tickets. Let's jump in and see what we need to do. With T&M, we're going to actually go into administration first and look at a couple things. So we're going to click into administration. We're going to choose the estimating section across the top. And we're going to go into our item catalog first. The item catalog is going to be where all our costs live. So any of our labor, material, equipment, subcontractor, and other items. So we're going to look for an item that we set up earlier called loader. This loader item, as you'll notice here, is set up as an equipment item, and it has a $0 cost. There's one more feature that is checked off here for this item, and that is our Allocate from mobile box. So when we set up our owned equipment items that we might use for snow, especially with T&M, we're going to set it up similar to this. You can set up as many types of pieces of equipment that you would like. Typically, we suggest keeping it fairly generic: plow truck, front end loader, skid steer, Ventrac, sidewalk unit, trackless, right? Those are some examples of equipment items that you could add into your system. Try not to get too detailed with the exact unit numbers of each of the pieces of equipment. That ends up being a little bit too clunky when you're looking to job cost things. So we're going to set up our equipment items with a category of snow, a $0 cost, and we're going to check off this Allocate from mobile box. This will allow the item to be chosen from Crew Mobile as the crew completes the work, and we'll be able to, as we see here in a minute, charge an hourly rate per piece of equipment on those services. So we're going to go in and start creating our estimate. Again, we're going to find a property. That's where our opportunities are created initially. And we're going to look for our property called Kinta Court this time. Drill into that property, and we'll create a new opportunity. Again, the goal of this estimating training is to allow you to create template opportunities that you may see here once you've saved them as templates underneath the snow folder. Today, we're going to create a new opportunity just to show you the kinds of things to think about. We're going to give our opportunity a name here, and we're going to make sure our invoice type for this estimate is T&M. We're going to set our division for sales tracking once again. And much like with our per service estimating example, the start and end date is going to have a real impact on when we are going to be able to create our work tickets. Similar to per service, we are going to check off that as needed box on our service setup within the estimate. We'll see that here in a little bit. But again, we're going to just choose the same start and end date that we had earlier for our other examples. You can find those examples elsewhere on AspireCare. Then we're going to create our estimate. When we're on our estimate screen, it's a pretty simple looking estimate screen, similar to all the other invoice types that we're going to be looking at. And we're going to start by adding our service. Okay, so we're going to look for our plowing T&M service. And we're adding that. We'll add another service here for shoveling, snow shoveling T&M. And we'll add our de-icing T&M service as well. So with time and material, there's a few things to set up on our service itself. We'll drill into the service here and take a look at what that might be. As I mentioned earlier, we have our as needed box. We're going to go ahead and check that off because we don't know how many times we're going to have to go out and plow during this snow season. What we'll also see here is our typical T&M setup with our pricing table on the right-hand side. We're going to be able to set labor rates by clicking into the money bag icon, and we're going to set our markups for each item type. This will affect any costs that are applied to this particular service. We can also set a minimum charge or a minimum number of hours for T&M. Okay. You will have to choose one or the other. Try not to do both. The system will get confused. For now, we're going to leave just this as needed box checked, and we're going to go back to our estimate screen. When we're doing plowing at a T&M invoice type, chances are we're charging based on the piece of equipment. So we can come in and we can add our plow truck. We might use a plow truck. We might use a loader, depending on the depth of snow. We may need to have a skid steer in there to do some of the tighter areas. Okay, so we're going to list our different pieces of equipment within our plowing T&M service. Our occurrences are just one. We're going to set up one occurrence with that as needed box checked. We'll be able to create as many work tickets as required. We're going to indicate just 1 hour of cost at this point for this particular service with these units, so that we can come over here to our per price column and indicate to the client how much we're going to charge them per hour. Let's say we'll charge our plow truck out at $95 an hour, our front end loader maybe $135, and our skid steer $110. So by overriding these values on the per price column on the estimate screen, we are saying every time we use the plow truck for an hour on this particular service, we will charge the client $95. You can do the same thing with our shoveling T&M. In this situation, though, we'll use a labor item. We'll pick our labor snow item. When you pick that labor item underneath a T&M service, this box will pop up and ask you to set a labor rate. The labor rate and the type here that is displayed on this screen will show up on the estimate typically if we are showing item detail. So the name that you put in this blank is somewhat important. It will also be visible on time entry later on as well. In our situation here, we're going to charge $65 an hour for any labor that is spent clearing the sidewalks, and we'll see that reflected here on our estimating screen. With our T&M, we'll do something similar for our lot de-icing that we did for plowing. So we'll come in and we'll add our bulk salt product. Again, we'll estimate just 1 ton because we want to indicate what our charge per ton is going to be. If we drill into our lot de-ice service, we'll have to also check our as needed box and hit save. Okay, and with our bulk salt, we're going to charge $200 per ton, let's say. So this way, if we go out and do any work, depending on the costs we apply to our tickets, we will have a charge built in ready to invoice our client. It is very important, though, that the items listed within this service are the items that do need to be used in order for the charge to be put through. If we use our skid steer item on our lot de-ice T&M service, for example, we will not pass a $110 charge onto the client for that unit because it is not listed within the lot de-ice T&M service. Okay, so the costs that are listed here, the bulk salt item does need to be costed to the lot de-ice T&M service in order for the $200 charge per ton to flow through. If we use a different product, it will not be captured at that rate. When we click into our service as well, again, that as needed box needs to be checked. Our best practice suggestion is that we set up some markup structure here on each of these services so that we are covered in the event that the exact item listed on our estimate within this service is not used. So by setting those markups, if we were to use a different product within our snow shoveling T&M service, we will be covered with a markup structure and not pass those costs to the client as costs. We will mark them up and be able to make some money on them. So that's how we can set up our T&M estimating for snow. We're going to use these equipment items with an overridden price on the estimate screen to make sure that we charge the client the correct value each time those costs are applied to a ticket and that equipment is used. Similar to our salting products or our de-icing products, we'll have to list those underneath this service so that when we use them, we charge the client the appropriate amount. Hopefully that helps you understand how to set up a T&M estimate for snow, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.